up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Tuesday Night Live here on episode 133 of the Wrestling Rundown. My name is Travis Colt. I'm by myself again because unfortunately Kevin Hawk is a little under the weather. It's been cold, there's been a lot of weather going on, so he's not feeling very well. So I'm talking about the Wild Card Finals edition of Smackdown, and I'm talking about 205 Live. We're going to start with Smackdown, where the 3 championship matches were the only matches they had. And SmackDown fucking knocked it out of the park again. Now I'm going to talk about a few things before we get to the matches. We had, first we had Nikki kind of addressing what happened with Natalya last week when she confessed to being the one that attacked Nikki at Survivor Series. And pretty much Nikki just said, Natalya says that I came back and, I'm getting all these things because of my looks. And no, she talks about how she came back from her injury because she perseveres. And, she has... Come on, Randy, get up here. She's focused, she's determined. And, and she's trying not to let all the Natalya stuff get to her. She says anything that she has to actually say to Natalya, she's going to say it to her face. So I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get that on next week's episode of SmackDown. But the other stuff we had in the back, Miz and Maurice were in their own locker room, and they had 4 security guards. And we had, I believe it was Dasha, she was the one going around doing interviews. She knocked on the door. Maurice came to the door, didn't say anything. Miz came out and said, no one's getting an interview unless the woman who slapped me last week, Renee Young, comes and asks me the question. So he wasn't giving an interview unless it was Renee Young. I loved it. This is great continuation on this storyline. So Dasha goes, she finds Renee Young. Renee knocks on the door, and she does like the laziest interview with the Miz. She's like, oh, well, 2016 is coming to an end. How do you feel? How's the year been to you? And Miz is like, oh yeah, 2016 has been great, and like he kind of notices that the security guards are like really close and tells them all to leave. And he starts going off on how great the year was, and I love that Renee was just like, she was so laxed in this situation. It was fantastic. I love that she's getting involved in this storyline. But Miz didn't realize that after he made the security guards go away, that another security guard had walked up behind him. He was, wearing jeans and a black security shirt, and it just happened to be Dean Ambrose. And Renee gets this smile, Miz stops talking, turns around, and then Ambrose just beats the hell out of him. Miz starts calling for the security. Security gets taken out by Ambrose. Miz runs away. And then Ambrose, of course, has to add a little funny bit to the end of this. He picks up the microphone, or the walkie-talkie, and goes, all clear, and walks away. So, more stuff happening in this whole situation. They had a fun segment on Talking Smack. Talking Smack, I haven't tried watching Raw Talk, because if you checked out any of the past Raw reviews we've done, I don't really care to watch anymore after Monday Night Raw because I don't care. But Talking Smack is actually a really fun after show to get some extra comments from people. And I'll kind of mention a few more things, but Ambrose and Renee had a few things to say about the Miz. Miz never showed up, but fun little segment. So after you watch SmackDown, if you haven't already, check out Talking Smack because it's definitely worth watching. But then we open up SmackDown with the return of John Cena, who he's loving the reaction he's getting, whether it's, they're in Chicago, so he's getting booed like crazy, but there's a lot of people supporting him. He starts doing his usual Cena stuff. He's hyping up all the matches. He talks about the tag team titles, the women's title, the WWE title. And then he goes, yeah, and then what am I doing here? And then there's a little bit of a buzz, and the crowd starts chanting Undertaker, because there has been a lot of rumors that John Cena is going to be facing the Undertaker this coming WrestleMania 33. And Cena's like, it's stuff like that. People keep telling me, like, people have already made up my mind. They've they've made up my future for me. They're telling me what matches I'm going to have. They're telling me that I'm almost out of this business. They're telling me that I'm, I've got one foot out and I'm just going to go to Hollywood and all this stuff. And he talks, and then he says, he isn't going anywhere. The new era is BS. It's still the my time is now era. And he's challenging whomever wins the triple threat for the WWE Championship for a match at the Royal Rumble. So, John Cena immediately coming back, making a name for himself. He's obviously going to be watching this match, so we'll get to that in just a bit. But our first match of the night was the Fatal 4-Way Elimination Tag Team title match where the Wyatts defended the championships against American Alpha, the Usos, and the former tag team champions Heath Slater and Rhino. Found out that the reason the Usos have been gone for a while is Jey Uso was actually dealing with an ankle injury, so it's good to see the two of them back in. They looked fantastic. Slater and Rhino ended up being the first elimination here. They were the only ones that didn't really stand out, so I have a feeling they're going to be doing a very personal storyline between Rhino and Slater. They've had a few miscommunications. Rhino walked out on Slater a few weeks ago on Talking Smack. I think it was the night they lost the tag team titles. And so they didn't really get a chance to show off too much. Slater ended up looked like he slipped off the top rope, which kind of worked because he was supposed to end up getting like a kick to the gut, and then Jimmy Uso ended up hitting it with a super kick and ended up pinning Heath Slater, that eliminating them. Then we had a great work by the champions, by the way. The Wyatts stayed off of they stayed out of the match. They did not get in until this next elimination happened because they had to. So they stayed on the outside. Then they, for a good long while we had American Alpha and the Usos going against each other, they were just down on the floor. They had no involvement whatsoever, keeping themselves as fresh as possible. Brilliant. By the way, Bray Wyatt was not defending the tag team titles because it's very much like the New Day. We had Luke Harper and Randy Orton. They were the ones defending the tag titles. So they were eventually forced to get in after the Usos were eliminated. Jey Uso ended up stopping American Alpha from going for a what looked like, I believe it's the Doomsday Device, but with like a big bulldog that Chad Gable ends up doing. Gable stays on top. Jason Jordan gets shoved away, so then Gable goes for a sunset flip, tries to pin Jey. Jey pops up, tries to pin Gable. Gable kicks out and ends up actually folding Jey over, kind of jackknife pin style, eliminating the Usos. Unfortunately for American Alpha, they ended up getting blindsided by both Jey Uso and Luke Harper. Both of them get obliterated on the outside. Refs are trying to get the Usos to go away. So we finally have the Wyatts in the match. And the Wyatts and American Alpha have a fantastic match. I said this a few weeks ago that Randy Orton makes every spot he's on the card feel important. And this was no different. He works so well with Jason Jordan. It is amazing to watch. So much great work between the two. And then you get hot tags from Harper and Gable. Gable was suplexing everybody. He did a belly-to-belly suplex to Rhino earlier in the match. He did a German suplex to one of the Usos. He ended up doing a German suplex to Luke Harper where he actually landed on his head. It was just amazing stuff from both of these teams. And it's the crowd is so into it. There's so much happening. But because of the size difference, the Wyatts kind of have it in the bag. Gable is just so much smaller than Luke Harper and Randy Orton that he's just getting pummeled, gets beat down. Randy Orton is trying to go for a superplex, which, if you don't know, that was Bob Orton's finisher. So Randy usually does it at least once a match, sometimes every once in a while. But he's trying to set up, and Harper, who's on the outside, who I think had been dealing with, had possibly gotten knocked down by Gable, ends up getting up and looked like he was trying to help Randy Orton make sure that the superplex was going to happen. Some sort of miscommunication happens where Randy slips and hits Luke Harper. Harper tumbles off of the ring. Gable hits a drop kick on Randy Orton that backs him up. Jordan, who is on the outside, gets up, tags himself in, or no, Gable wasn't even the legal man. Jordan was. So Jordan ends up tagging, hits the spear on Randy Orton. They hit Grand Amplitude, and American Alpha are the new Smackdown Tag Team Champions. And it blew my fucking mind. I was not expecting that at all. But oh my god, what a cool fucking surprise. Like, I'm upset that the Wyatts are no longer the champions, because it's bittersweet, because the Wyatts deserved it, because they've been a team for so long. But I knew that the Randy Orton thing wasn't going to last very long. I have a feeling that possibly Eric Rowan should be making his return pretty soon, and will probably be taking that spot. And then they'll run a feud maybe against, like a continuation feud against Randy Orton and possibly somebody else. I'm not sure what they'll do. But yeah, we had Harper and Orton just in each other's face, and Wyatt's trying to break him up and trying to calm him down, and Wyatt was just upset with that they lost the championships. But oh man, how fucking cool is it that American Alpha pulled off a surprise? No one fucking thought this was going to happen. This was amazing, a great call. They had their families at ringside. They got to go over and celebrate with them. They had a awesome little talk segment on Talking Smack as well. So congratulations to American Alpha. One other little backstage, I completely forgot about this. James Ellsworth was talking to Dasha about people that make fun of him, that he looks different, and Carmella finds him uniquely attractive. So they're still running with that Carmella James Ellsworth thing. I don't know. Weird. Let's move on to our second match, which was Alexa Bliss defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. Once again, we've had these two have fantastic matches in the past. This one was no different. They had a few flubs here and there. There's a few things they tried to go for that didn't quite work, but I gave them passes because some of them, like one of the things was like Alexa tried to lift the ring apron to catch Becky on a baseball slide, and for some reason it just didn't like lift up. Maybe it was like pinned by the stairs, or the LED boards make it really weird. So I don't know. It was something just didn't work, but they ended up making it work. Had a fantastic match. Some great technical wrestling. Becky Lynch did some extra work on that arm. She was making sure that she was going to hit the disarmer and make Alexa Bliss tap out. She ended up hitting the Pentagon Jr. breaking the arm thing, which blew my mind. I've never seen anyone other than Pentagon Jr. do this. So to see Becky Lynch do it was scary and awesome at the same time. And then at one point, I don't remember exactly where this came out from, but Becky had just, Alexa had just kicked out, or Becky was trying to do some sort of submission, and we had La Luchadora, or Miss Mascaras, make her way down to ringside, which is weird because that was Becky Lynch last week. So there's a strange situation where she ends up coming out, and she takes the wrapping off of one of the turnbuckle things, and nothing really happens from that. She just kind of stands out of the ringside. Alexa Bliss ends up trying to hit Twisted Bliss, and Becky gets the knees up, and then as she tries to pin Alexa kicks out. She gets in the disarmer. Alexa gets her foot on the rope. Ref's trying to get her off, and then while Alexa Bliss is over on the other side of the ring, and she's double jointed, so she bends her arm out, and she's like, Ref, my arm, and it's literally bent, and it was scary for a second. But it was fantastic because the ref goes over to check on her arm, and while she does, Miss Mascaras jumps up on the other side, distracts Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch tries to grab her and pulls her by the mask, and as she does, Miss Mascaras turns around, grabs her, and then runs her headfirst into the post. So Becky's knocked loopy. Alexa Bliss sees this, turns around, hits a big DDT on Becky Lynch. 1, 2, 3, and Alexa Bliss retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. So an amazing finish. I love that she won with a DDT. It's a move you don't usually see people win matches with, unless it's like known as their finisher, like Jake the Snake Roberts or Raven or Tommy Dreamer, or people like that. You don't see people win with DDTs, and it was just, I'm really curious what they're gonna do with this Miss Mascaras thing. I have no idea who it was. The person had brown hair. I don't know if there's someone who's debuting soon. I mean, it wasn't Nikki, because you could tell. It wasn't Carmella or Natty, because it was brown hair unless they were wearing a wig. I don't think it was Naomi, because she's way too curvy. I don't know who it was. I honestly have no clue, and by the way, if you know who it is, don't fucking tell me. Don't post in the comments. I don't want to know, because I like being surprised. But regardless, a great match, great finish. Alexa Bliss, still your women's champion. Sorry about that. Now we go to our triple threat match for the WWE Championship. We had Renee talk to both Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin before the match. Dolph Ziggler, once again, just feels like, he needs to make this his moment. He needs to, he realized that he messed up giving Baron Corbin the opportunity to be in this match, but he plans on making it worthwhile, going out there and becoming champion once again. Baron Corbin feels like he should have had this spot a long time ago, and he's going to go out there and show everyone exactly why, and he's going to be the new champion. Holy crap. I'm pretty sure the tag team match was the longest match. I didn't get an official time on that, but both the women's championship match and this triple threat were about 15, 16 minutes long. But for 15 or 16 minutes, these three guys went out and fucking killed it. There was only one spot that seemed like it should have been something different, and I'll get to that in a second, but immediately there's some great back and forth. A lot of Baron Corbin reversing a lot of Ziggler and Styles stuff, flipping them over, and then both of them realizing, because they're the smaller guys, they need to team up and take him out. So they do just that. They start doing kicks and punches, and then they clothesline him over the top. He ends up knocking both of them down, and then he starts pulling the table apart. He's gonna put one of them through it. He ends up getting a forearm and then a super kick that lays him out on the table. And then both Styles and Ziggler get up on the barricade, and Styles hits a double leg drop while Ziggler hits an elbow drop, putting Baron Corbin through the table, taking him out for the majority of the match. We have Ziggler and Styles end up making their way back into the ring eventually. Some great stuff between them. This was the moment that I think Baron Corbin was supposed to break up the pin, but was a little slow on it. It still kind of worked just because... So Ziggler hits the super kick on Styles. I think Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, ends up getting hit. He ends up getting kicked off of the ropes, ends up getting up, hit with a super kick, and then Ziggler almost gets the 3 count, but AJ Styles kicks out just as Baron Corbin's he just barely touches Ziggler's foot, and so Styles kicks out, and Ziggler's laying there. So I think Baron Corbin was supposed to break it up if they're trying to protect the super kick, because that's kind of been Ziggler's thing for a while. He's gone a little extra Shawn Michaels. Other than that, though, I have no complaints about this match whatsoever. This was some great work. This was the best match I've ever seen Baron Corbin in. This was a great match for both Ziggler and Styles. We ended up hitting Ziggler hits the zigzag on Baron Corbin as Baron Corbin is hitting the end of days on AJ Styles. That got a huge pop, a fantastic move. Did not expect that. And then we have Baron Corbin hitting the deep six. Ziggler tries to pin Baron Corbin after that zigzag end of days. Baron Corbin kicks out. So Ziggler is like hitting everything he possibly can. No one's going down. And it's just back and forth. Lots of great stuff from all of these guys. But in the end, Baron Corbin ends up hitting once again end of days on Dolph Ziggler. And as he does, he gets back up, gets clocked with a phenomenal forearm from AJ Styles. AJ being the smart one, as Baron Corbin rolls out of the ring, he's like, end of days just happened. He pins Dolph Ziggler. 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles is still your WWE champion. And then to finish it off, we had John Cena come out, face off with AJ Styles, a handshake, which surprised me, and then both of them yelling at each other because now we know that John Cena will indeed face AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble. That should be exciting because, we haven't seen that match for, was it SummerSlam? So, about it'll be 6 months by the time it actually happens. So, and the last couple matches they had were fucking awesome. So, I'm very much looking forward to Cena versus Styles. Now let's move on to 205 Live. Immediately after Smackdown. Man, if only Raw was as good with Raw as they are with this show. I don't know who's running this show, but they're doing a great job. Maybe it's because it's after Smackdown. I don't know. But we open up with, we're continuing the Cedric Alexander with Alicia Fox storyline. Last week we saw Alicia Fox get hurt after Cedric got shoved into her by Drew Gulak. This week, Cedric Alexander is taking on Tony Nese, who has Drew Gulak all dressed up in a suit in his corner. A fantastic match between Tony Nese and Cedric Alexander. These were two of the standouts from the Cruiserweight Classic. Two of my favorites, at least. I don't know about you. Cedric Alexander obviously was a big standout. Tony Nese I've been a fan of for a few years now. But Tony Nese ends up beating Cedric after there's a little bit of an altercation between Drew Gulak and Alicia Fox on the outside. And Gulak gets mad and takes his jacket off very Ric Flair-like and throws it on the ground. And then Foxy steps up to him. Her boot comes off, which kind of added to the whole situation because she ends up picking up her boot and she's waving at him you don't belong out here. You have no reason being out here. And then Drew Gulak starts yelling, ref, she attacked me. And so the ref's Alicia, he ejects Alicia from ringside. Cedric is completely confused. He has no idea why this is happening. He doesn't know. And then he ends up turning around into a gigantic palm strike from Tony Nese, which just melts Cedric Alexander. Tony Nese picks up the win. We go immediately to the back, and Alicia Fox is back there. She's just upset with what happened. She didn't want to get ejected from ringside. And of course, cue creepy Noam Dar, who comes up and says, hey, I know Christmas was on Sunday, but I got you a gift, and holds mistletoe above her head. And she slaps the shit out of him. And he's like, oh. And then he smiles and he goes, how about one more? Holds up the mistletoe again. She slaps him again. And he is fucking loving it. He's so creepy. It is ridiculous. He's like, Merry Christmas to myself. And then we go to commentary. And Austin Aries is just like, I don't know if I'm creeped out or if I should be, if I like Noam Dar. I don't know what's going on. Austin Aries doesn't even know what to do with Noam Dar. That's how freaking weird it is. We had, earlier in the day, Renee Young interviewed Neville, who was just really aggressive. I love heel Neville. I'm going to say that every fucking week until they ruin it. because I'm sure Raw will find some way to ruin it. But heel Neville is fantastic. He talks about how he's like, hey, Renee asks why he all of a sudden has this attitude and why he hasn't been in the Cruiserweight division before. And he says, well, yeah, WWE scoured the globe for all the greatest cruiserweights for the Cruiserweight Classic, but yet I'm here and they kept me out. They didn't even try to put me in the Classic because they knew I was too good. And then he went a little bit more on what he talked about on Raw, where he was like, these crowds, they don't appreciate me, and talks about how because of his accent and the fact that he's from England, and like people just look down on him because he's from a different country, and no one gives him a chance. He feels like he's being discriminated against, and it's just I feel like there's all this like real emotion coming out of Neville, and he's mad at everyone, and it's great to watch because this is a complete opposite of everything he's done. He's always been the happy-go-lucky, like really he's always been intense, but this is a different type of intensity, which is such a fresh way of looking at the character that is Neville. So he pretty much ends up getting up and like he doesn't care anymore. He walks out. The interview's over. Oh, Renee, like he says something. He says he says that he talks about how he's gone against people that are like twice his weight, twice his size. So being on 205 Live is going to be just a doddle, which I assume is a walk in the park or super fucking easy. And Renee's like, excuse me, can you say that again? And then he's like, no. As far as I'm concerned, this interview is over, and walks away. So, I love heel Neville. I'm going to keep saying it until they fuck it up. Then we had a very strange match, which we had Mustafa Ali, who was going to face Mr. 450, but for some reason, I don't know if it was before the match, maybe no one noticed, but Mr. 450 was limping. Like, he was keeping his right leg very straight. He was very vocal. He still looked good despite that, but it was a very choppy match, which ended up ending really quickly. Mustafa ended up hitting reverse DDT type of thing, dropped him, and then went up and hit an inverted 450, which was fantastic. Holy shit. That is a scary move, and he pulled it off like a motherfucker. It was awesome. And then he gets on the microphone and says, hey, when I came here to, when I was in the Cruiserweight Classic, when I came to 205 Live, I thought that based on my look and based on where I come from, I had to prove everybody wrong. But the people have proved him wrong, that they've actually accepted him, and that, it's a strange world and anything can happen. And it's I guess he's gotten such a great reaction. They're trying to go babyface with him, which is good because he is extremely talented, and I think people are gonna go for that. Plus, having him and Arya Daivari kind of playing similar, like, oh, we're from the Middle East, we're from those countries that people are scared of. It would have been a little too much to have two different characters doing that. So to have Mustafa kind of have this flip where, people are going to start, he's going to start going as babyface is a very interesting move. And I hope that it takes, because he's a great talent. I also hope that Mr. 450 is okay. I didn't double check. So if you have any information on what happened to Mr. 450, post down in the comments, let me know. It was a very strange match, but it was a good moment for Mustafa Ali. I wish he would have had that match, because I think the match would have been great for him as well. But what are you going to do? We found out that Tajiri is going to be debuting next week on 205 Live, so I'm super excited for that. Then we also had the Gentleman's Duel between Arya Daivari and Jack Gallagher. We had a table set up in the ring, and Jack Gallagher proceeds to tell everyone how this is going to work. Now, first, they get to pick their weapons. There was a frying pan, there was rope, there was a lead pipe, there was an umbrella, there was a candlestick holder, and there was also a teapot. So they both got to pick their weapon. Oh, there was also a monkey wrench. So they both got to pick their weapon, and they'd stand back to back, take 5 paces to the ropes. Then they would turn around, and the winner would be the only person who doesn't give up. So immediately, Jack Gallagher's like, "Hey, being the gentleman that I am, I'll let you pick first." So Daivari picks the giant lead pipe that's there. And then Jack Gallagher picks the umbrella. And Arya's like, "I pick a lead pipe and you pick an umbrella? Oh, this is going to be too easy." So they go back to back. And Gallagher's like, "All right, on my count." And then he starts counting as he goes, 1, 2. And then he knows that Arya is not going to adhere to the gentleman's duel. So Daivari immediately tries to go for a swing. Gallagher ducks. The umbrella ends up whacking Daivari right in the nuts. He ends up getting whacked on the head. He gets pool cued in the gut. And then he goes straight Kingsman on this motherfucker with the umbrella. If you've seen that movie, that's what he just kicked the shit out of Arya Daivari with a goddamn umbrella. And it was hilarious. And so, Gallagher ends up dropping him down, ends up hitting a headbutt and everything. And Daivari ends up getting a little bit on Jack Gallagher, not a whole lot, because Gallagher ends up hitting the big headbutt and then the flying drop kick, and Daivari ends up leaving the ring. And so by forfeit, I'm not sure how, I guess he did give up because he ran away from the ring, but by forfeit, Jack Gallagher did in fact defeat Arya Daivari. I can't say it was my favorite segment, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was kind of entertaining. I will admit it. It was kind of entertaining. But yeah, let's not do that all the time. Please. Then we go to our main event, which is Neville taking on the Cruiserweight Champion, Rich Swann. We saw both of these guys on Monday Night Raw, both pick up wins, and then Neville attack Rich Swann. Neville continued to do that. He attacked the back of Rich Swann continuously through this match. He hit a shooting star to the back. He ended up rolling him up the LED board again. Swann wasn't really helping because there was so much aggression in this match. Neville is so fast and has so much impact on his moves that being a heel really accentuates that he's actually able to use that to his advantage. He doesn't have to go fast into something else. He can hit that move and let that move sink in. He doesn't have to immediately go to the next one. He can be methodical, which is great. But Swann, because of what Neville's done since he returned at Roadblock, he's being just as aggressive. Neither of them shake hands. Immediately, Rich Swann goes straight for Neville's face. He ends up hitting a Tiger Bomb, which this is after so much damage has been done to his back that lifting up a man who's as solid as Neville is not going to help your back at all. And it just continues from there. There's so many different things that they kick out of. Neville ends up kicking out of the Rich kick. Rich Swann ends up kicking out of just multiple. They end up doing moves to the outside. Rich Swann also hit what he calls Fantastic Voyage, which is a spinning Michinoku driver, and Neville kicks out of that. There's just no fucking stopping either of these guys. And it's not until Rich Swann is trying to go for what I assume was a top rope 450, but Neville keeps stopping him no matter how many times he tries. Neville ends up crotching him up on the top rope, and because of all of the damage, Rich Swann gets hit with a superplex, and Neville picks up the win with a superplex. Once again, going back to the way the women's championship match ended with the DDT, this is what makes it interesting when you watch wrestling. Obviously, you always know a finisher is going to finish the match. That's why it's called a finisher. But doing that all the time makes the match very predictable. This along with that DDT, are perfect examples of making people go, oh shit, that was it? And then it makes sense. You're like, okay, well, Becky got run headfirst into the post and then DDT'd, so that makes sense. Rich Swann, his back has been destroyed. It was destroyed last night on Raw. It was destroyed all through this match. Neville didn't stop. And then he gets hit with a superplex from the top rope. Of course stuff like that's going to finish the match because there's all of that attention to that one body part. So Neville picks up the win, continues to beat down Rich Swann afterwards. I was kind of hoping that this would have been a situation where Neville kind of lost control, just beat up Rich Swann continuously and then had the victory switched. But eventually two other referees come out. They stop Neville. He doesn't get switched, but he does beat down Rich Swann pretty severely. So, yeah, Rich Swann is probably not going to be happy after this. Neville is just not going to be happy at all. But once again, I love heel Neville. It is so much fun to watch. Tuesday nights, so fucking cool. That is it for Tuesday Night Live. Thanks you. I thank you. We thank you. It's just me. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, click, and follow us on all the social medias. Check out this review along with all of our regular reviews, except for any news this week because we don't have one. Check out them in podcast form at SoundCloud. Check out our extra videos over on Reasonable Wrestling Fans. That's reasonable with a W, like wrestling. Let us know what you want to see over there. We'll be posting more videos over there very, very soon. But for now, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next. And Monday Night Raw, you can fuck right off because Smackdown is the A show.